Shalom, my name is Soli Foger and I started this series of interviews, Profiles of Faith. Welcome to the site, and I hope that you enjoy the many interviews by the many rabbis, rebbitzin, and leaders across Jewish society. It is dedicated to discussing Jewish education, questions of faith, and the pursuit of a spiritual life. This is a trailer that represents a few seconds from each of the interviews with rabbis and leaders in this program. I hope that you enjoy them and that you proceed to watch them all and share them with your community and friends. Thank you.
I think the first point that I would want anybody to know about Judaism is that it's an opportunity for living a profoundly meaningful life.
The secret of Jewish survival is that Jews never just survived, they always flourished. Because survival means that you barely make it past your pain doesn't consume you. To flourish means to transform your pain into a blessing, the darkness into the light.
We came from someplace. It's not just genetics, but it's ideas. The ideas that we inherited from somebody, and they from somebody. And even though we had this intention of not looking like them and not talking like them and not thinking exactly like them, there's no doubt that they made us. And looking into who they are is a way of looking into who we are.
I would say that one of the things that I work on most as a teacher and a writer in Jewish life is how do you make a substance-saturated Judaism, even if it's not Orthodox, but it has to have substance.
I'm always a beginner because I'm always searching for the question. I'm not, one of these super-duper intellects. I'm just your average Jew who believes that we have to find the best answers that we can to the questions.
When people think back on their own experiences and on the things that molded their religious gestalt, it's often a Bubby's gefilte fish, it's a Zayd's kiss, it's the experiential dimension that's so critical.
In order for there to be emunah, in order for there to be faith, there has to be doubts. Because if there is no doubts, then we have credulousness. Credulousness means believing everything that comes along, not challenging anything.
Observance is a means. When observance becomes a goal, Judaism becomes idolatry. And there's so much obsession with the details of observance, you forget what you're doing it for. The answer is, the goal, of course, is dveikut. The goal is an intimate relationship with God. The goal is to be aware, to open your mind, to open your soul, to be attached to God.
I think the most powerful way of educating people is by role models and by stories of people and by living examples. I had experiences that literally transformed my life again and again. So I think that I think part of the secret is to let your soul be touched.
Hashem wants people to be heroic, which means that they have to have choices that have depth and meaning. When you look at anyone who anyone considers a hero, they're a hero because of the depth of their challenges.
If there is a woman in the world that wants to sing, that believes that their voice should be heard and feels that they cannot because they live in a box where people around them say, you're a woman and so you cannot, I do not support that. And I pray that my choices give those people a little bit more chizuk, a little bit more energy to propel them forward so that they too can live in a world connected to holiness and where they're connected to themselves.
Even those who believed in God's Torah as being absolutely perfect renewed the tradition. They found ways. Chazal renewed. Chazal found a way within the Torah to renew the Torah.
It's very hard to infuse someone with love. You can't say to somebody, love somebody. What you can do is evoke their love by first being loving, being an example of what you're trying to transmit.
Love and selflessness are the same thing. Yeah, the foundation of life is selflessness. And the greatest destruction of human life is selfishness.
If you have the chance to be among those who believe of Hashem, Hashem will show you why you are here for. So you can be a part of those of Tikkun HaOlam.
The moment I give up Virangi Yarmalka, it's a small step, but I will give up everything. When you start giving up, there is no end. for I did know that there is times in our Jewish experience, and I was ready to die for my yarmulke.
I think that, unlike other people, we can't wait around for God to bring redemption. I think our obligation is to be partners with God, or to be God's agents in helping to build a better world.
I was grown by a generation that knew what is to be without Eretz Israel, what it is to be without Medinat Israel.
In the lives of Jews throughout the centuries, their life was centered around the mitzvahs of the Torah, and the mitzvahs of the Torah were centered around God. It was a way, that's how you connected with God. And that was a real presence in their lives. And somehow what happened is that the tradition continued, but God got left behind.
The Kotzker Rebbe said the defining words on the matter. They asked him, where do you find God? He said, wherever you let him in.
That's how I would define myself today as a Jew, as someone who feels deeply connected to the transmission of thousands of years, and is also at the same time deeply aware of the fact that we're living in a completely new era of Jewish history, which requires new ways of thinking, a new state of consciousness, and hopefully new modes of religiosity.
Once they begin to Shabbos as a verb, that is a noun, once they begin to Shabbos and experience Shabbos, then I think you'll be able to transform lives.
I think one of the great ways of transmission is that we as parents and grandparents, we have to do better. Not so much in speaking to our children, Yisrael, but in listening to them.
The ring of this year becomes another ring in the tree. A tree that wouldn't have the rings from the past, the wind would come and would collapse. It needs to have the strength which is made from all the rings that happened before. So Torah and mitzvahs is not being eliminated. On the contrary, we find new ways of doing the same mitzvahs in a way that fits our time. And we will not be the last word, because there will be renewal of the renewal.